This video is brought to you by Squarespace. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that Nicholas Latifi has been the worst driver on the grid this season. In his defense, Williams' F1 car this season has been almost as bad as the 2021 Haas car, but he's still only beaten his teammate once all season. He's also qualified in the bottom two in all but 2 races this season. Baku, where he was 18th, and Silverstone, where he took an incredible 10th on the grid, being the only exception. His contract is up at the end of the season and there are a lot of drivers available for Williams to sign up. So does Latifi think he's done enough to deserve a spot on the grid in 2023? Well, let's find out. Aside from a Latifi FP3 masterclass in Hungary, Williams have spent the majority of the season in the bottom half of the field, which isn't exactly what team boss Josh Capito had in mind. The Williams team have been a bit of a meme in recent seasons, demoted from front-runners to perennial also-rans. However, when Capito took over as CEO and later team principal following the Williams family's departure in 2020, he had higher expectations for the team, wanting to promote them back to at least the midfield in 2022. I don't have to explain to you that 3 points from 13 races does not make you a midfield team. In an interview with Motorsport magazine, Capito said, "We are not where we wanted to be and we didn't achieve the objectives we set for the car. It took a while to find out what really has to be changed, where the team actually is. Being for 4 years at the very back, it has an impact on the culture. It has an impact on the team mentality. Part of the problem this season is in their driver pairing. Quickly cast your mind back to your memories of 2021 and the Haas pairing of Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin. At the time, everyone was slating Mazepin for being a terrible driver, and he was, but the problem with that was that no one really paid attention to the shortcomings of the young Schumacher. It was impossible to know if he was doing badly because of an awful car or if he was underperforming as well. Williams has the same problem now, though maybe not quite to the same degree of severity. Is Alex Albon driving out of his skin in the Williams? Or is he just coasting along because he has no competition from his teammate? We don't know, because Latifi hasn't been able to get close to him in terms of performance this season. Despite his poor first half of the season though, Latifi thinks he deserves more time to prove he has what it takes. But before we talk about why Latifi thinks he should stay though, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Squarespace. We're currently using it to create a website for our community, and some of the features have been incredibly useful. The members area makes it super easy to monetize content and make your website not just a passion project but a profitable project as well. The commenting feature that you can integrate into your website means you can interact with your community with ease and build an online presence that people can recognize. How do you know what content to post though? Well, their analytics tell you what drivers or teams' content gets viewed the most, so you can tailor your future features to generate the most traffic. Go to squarespace.com for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, go to squarespace.com/gpculture to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. We would love to see what you guys create and share it with our community. Latifi has appeared to struggle adapting to the new F1 cars and rules this year, but since a chassis change at Silverstone, plus receiving updates at the most recent races, he's made improvements, highlighted by making Q3 of qualifying at the British Grand Prix. As a result, the 27-year-old wants Williams to assess him from the last 4 rounds before the summer break, as it weighs up its 2023 driver lineup options, having already secured Albon on a multi-year deal. Now that I do feel much more comfortable in the position I'm in with showing up the weekends knowing that, okay, if I drive the way I know I can drive and get as much as I can out of the car, then the performance is where it needs to be, which I think is deserving of staying in F1, Latifi told the media. Do Williams think he did enough in those 4 races to deserve a spot on the grid in 2023 though? Well, they haven't signed up anyone else for next year yet, so he might have done enough to at least make them think twice. Or they, like Alpine and Haas, might be waiting to see what happens with Daniel Ricciardo before making any decisions. Perhaps the biggest threat to Latifi's continued career in F1 though sits outside of the series. Williams Academy driver Logan Sargent is making waves in Formula 2, picking up 4 podiums, 2 of which were wins in its debut season. Sargent last had an outing for the team at the post-season Abu Dhabi test last year. He's scheduled to take part in FP1 in Austin, his home race weekend, and team principal Josh Capito has made no secret of how much he rates the youngster. He will be in a Formula 1 car in the future. I'm absolutely convinced, said Capito. Of course we are impressed. You know, it's his first season in F2. We didn't put any pressure on him. He has the time to develop and he's really impressed us with how fast he's got to grips with the car. When it comes to natural talent in motor racing, a big indicator is how quickly drivers can get to grips with new cars. George Russell is a great example of this. When he came into Mercedes this season, Lewis Hamilton was saying that their car was the worst F1 car he'd ever driven. Toto Wolff actually apologized to Lewis for making him drive the car. But George Russell made them both look ridiculous by consistently being competitive and picking up top 5 finishes. He got to grips with that car so quickly thanks to his natural talent. In spite of Williams deciding to give Sargent a run out in an F1 car this season, Jost wouldn't be drawn on whether or not the young driver had a chance at a promotion to the big league next year. It's quite tricky to take early decisions on something on a Formula 2 driver, as long as the season is not over. So that's part of the decision making, of course, he said. I think we've got various options, and we will finally go for what we believe is the best for the team. But it's too early to get into the details because we're not there yet. Of course, the options don't just end with Logan Sargent though. Another name that will be on Williams' shortlist will be Nick de Vries. As Mercedes reserve driver, he has already had a couple of FP1 drives this season and looked comfortable in both. There has been a lot of talk of him waiting in the wings at Mercedes for a seat, but with Mercedes once again being competitive, the chance of Hamilton retiring before winning his 8th World Drivers' Championship is dwindling. Williams are a Mercedes customer as well, and by all accounts, Nick knows how things work at Williams. His name has been touted for a possible seat in F1, most recently when a vacancy appeared at Aston Martin before being filled by Fernando Alonso, but de Vries has said it is out of his control. It's really out of my control, and to that point, I won't be able to influence the teams, he told the media. The only way to continue your career successfully forwards is to perform and deliver on track, and that's what I'll be trying to do in the remainder of the season. Nick already has a few Formula Renault 2.0 title wins, an F2 title and a Formula E title under his belt, and despite having limited experience in Formula 1, at 27 years old he will be a mature and constructive member of the team, who brings that title-winning mentality. Something which can't be said about Latifi. If the Dutchman does make it to Williams though, it will apparently be without the help of Toto Wolff, who says he is powerless in getting him a drive. I can't really help him, said Wolff. We can't really tell any team to look at him and consider him because that would be felt like an interference, and that goes the contrary way. If Latifi wants to impress the Williams team enough to avoid losing his spot to someone like Logan Sargent or Nick de Vries, then he's going to have to do it with the car he has now, as Williams have made the decision to turn their focus to the 2023 car. Capito has said that for them to compete with the teams above them and achieve his aim of moving into the midfield, Williams need to start development of next year's car now due to their smaller design team. One Q3 appearance and topping a free practice session on a track that was rapidly changing conditions is great and all, but points mean prizes, and as things are, Latifi is all out of points. If he can show that with the new spec car he can score points, then his prize might just be a spot on the F1 grid in 2023. But until that happens, Latifi looks all out of luck for next year. Want to know what else is going on in F1? Then click the link on your screen and I'll see you there.